sitting in the morning sun. I'll be sitting.
Welcome back. Listening to Inside the Great Outdoors, and we're going to talk about the boat show. I lost one of the. Oh, yeah, we got Michelle.
All right, Michelle. This is Carl Bachtel with Inside the Great Outdoors, and on the phone we have Michelle Burke, who is the president of the Ohio Marine Trades Association. We're going to talk Cleveland Boat Show. Good morning.
Good morning, Carl. How are you doing?
Oh, just living the dream here in the studio, talking about all sorts of stuff, and we also have Jason back. Excellent, Jason.
Well, Carl, I was listening to some of your content here and thinking, for me, camping is a hotel without room service, and this is why Jason Fisher is on the line to talk about everything he's arranged for the fishermen at the show. Yeah,
and Michelle, just give us a little background on the boat show and what people can see out there this year.
So the boat show is in its 68th year.
Wow.
It was founded back, in the 50s by Lake Erie Marine Trade Association. Now we're Ohio Marine Trade Association, which basically is your association that looks out for you in recreational boating and supports clean waterways and everything else. And the show, honestly, is what funds our organization year to year. We have over 300 boats, and, knowing how important fishing is in this area and in Ohio, we leaned into fishing really hard a few years ago, and then I had the great pleasure of getting connected with the wonderful Jason Fisher, and he has been an amazing partner for our shows and took over planning all of our fishing seminars. So you have fishing seminars on two different stages throughout the entire 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. And I'm excited for him to tell you all of the wonderful things he has planned and how he's retooled the seminars. But you can see all of our activations and activities and boats by going to clevelandboatshow.com. And, in fact, the code LEWT, Lake Erie Walleye Trail, or Fall Brawl will get you $3 off your tickets online.
Ooh.
But there's live music, Twiggy the water skiing squirrel for the kids, seminars. My whole new initiative is called Buy the Boat. We've got this Buy the Boat Inspiration Center, which basically I wanted to sort of take the intimidation factor from people. I know what it's like. Some of you know my story. When Joe said, let's get a boat, I told him he was crazy. And now I'm the president of Ohio Marine Trade Association. So I know that feeling of I wouldn't even know where to begin or, geez, we can't afford a boat. And I know those obstacles, many of them can be overcome. And I wanted to create an area where consumers interested in the possibility and the lifestyle could go and talk to people who aren't salespeople but who are boaters, who have lived this lifestyle with their family and their kids, who could kind of help them, hey, consider this lifestyle, and here's how you get started. And here's how you get started shopping in the show. So lots of exciting things going on, lots of information on the website. And again, we are always so grateful for Progressive, and Toyota Tundra is our major sponsor for all of our fishing, and Vic Sports Center also.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know Jason, owner of the Lake Erie Walleye Trail and Fall Brawl Walleye Derby that's going on in the fall from October through the end of November, and which is always a great time. I fished them all, I think, and or tried to, but a lot of good competition. Jason, what do you got going on the seminar stages over there? What can people learn about fishing Lake Erie?
Well, good morning. Well, we have all kinds of fishing seminars. We have Division of Wildlife seminars, and basically we try and encompass all of what Lake Erie and Ohio has to offer. From professional anglers, a lot on the walleye side, because we have anglers from the Lake Erie Walleye Trail that host a lot of our seminars. We have Captain Ross Robertson, Captain Nicholas and Gary Zart, Captain Ryan Buddy. All these anglers are essentially national level tournament anglers and promote fishing for a living, not just as a hobby. And then we have muskie guys. We have steelhead guys. We have Division of Wildlife biologists to just talk more about what type of, situation the fishing and angling is in, what situation we're in here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a couple kids fishing events on Saturday
Right.
At 1, and then Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Brought to you by the NPAA and the Future Anglers Foundation. Actually, the Lake Erie Walleye Trail has a Future Anglers Foundation as well, so we donate lots of fishing rods for any youth angler that's interested in learning about fishing, learning about boat and water safety. Anybody that shows up out there for the first, I believe it's probably 100 kids or so, we'll give away fishing rods and teach them all about fishing. I mean, there's basically a vast wealth of knowledge coming from a lot of different anglers. How to rig your kayak, how to fish off of a kayak, fishing off a boat, casting off a shore, all different kind of guys and gals up there. We even have one this year, Fish Like a Girl from the Fall Brawl champion, Amber Foster, and a couple other of her angling friends. That just to kind of spread the word of that fishing's not just for the guys. It's definitely a lady sport, and there's a lot of them out there doing it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, Michelle was talking about it's not really intimidating. Well, it could be if you don't know. It's like the intimidation factor with looking at purchasing a boat. There's also, to some degree, an intimidation factor of learning how to fish. And I know all of these guys that are doing the seminars and have known them for years. And talk about how approachable these guys are. Yes, they are professionals. They do this for a living. But they're really approachable because they were regular Joe anglers on the weekend at one time, too. And they remember where they come from and are willing to help.
Yeah, so every one of these anglers that give you seminars, they sit around, they talk. That's the reason why you should go to the boat show, because their agenda is to sit there and talk about fishing or to talk about boats. It's not when you catch them at the boat ramp and you want to say, hey, how's the fishing out there? They might give you 2 seconds of the time, but they're often busy.
Mm-hmm.
So the boat show is the opportunity for that. And the way we structured seminars this year is to give those bigger name anglers time to give their production, something that they've prepared, and then at the end of that, a question and answer. Just how do you guys help me with what I need to know? So whether it's dipsy diver fishing or crankbait fishing or lead core, you name it, they're going to be there, at least a half hour after their production to just what do you guys want to know, and how can we help you? And then after that, I know all of them stick around because they're working different booths and they're going to be there the whole day. So if you've ever had questions for some of these guys that do this for a living, now's the time to do it, because this is when they've devoted in their schedules time to just simply talk to you.
Sure. And
Jason, you have them doing like 2-hour-long seminars this year.
Yeah, so we've made the seminars longer so you can get more in-depth with information.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, in the past, when you go to a seminar, real brief, real basic, let me touch on this, give you a little bit of a ballpark idea, and send you out for you to try and do it on your own. So now you can get those in-depth details. And last year it was pretty funny, if you want to. I saw Gary and Nicholas Art. I stepped in on their seminar a little bit, and they handed out pieces of paper, and then everybody started taking notes like they were in school. So they gave us, I'm like, that was a pretty good idea. They gave out what they were going to talk about, and then it just turned into a note-taking session. I was like, man, I can promise you, 85 of these people had never done that in school before, but here they are taking notes at fishing,
Absolutely. It's it's great information, and like you said, multi-species, and especially getting the kids involved and kids that have an interest in fishing, because there's a couple generations of folks out there that they sort of missed out on it, with either being too busy or anything, and they might want to get into it. And they're not going to jump in with both feet and become tournament anglers, but they can use the information from these guys, to go out and catch some fish. And that's what it's all about, growing the sport. Taking your kids out and having your kid catch, when you have a kid catch any fish, it's such a sense of accomplishment for them, and it just makes them feel so good that they'll always remember that, and that's how you grow the sport. And it's just, it's a great thing to see. I know the kids clinics out there at the boat show are legendary for, handing out hundreds of fishing rods and helping the kids out. It's everybody leaves with a smile and a brain full of information for sure.
Well, Carl,
yeah, absolutely.
just like boating, fishing is such a family sport. I know a lot of people think of it as a guy's sport, and I love that Jason has focused on children and women.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 chicks in a boat, and then he's got this Fish Like a Girl, because any of these activities on the water that bring the family together, they connect families.
Yeah.
And we are in such a disconnected time with kids on their phones. And, boy, you want to get the phone out of your kid's hand, put a fishing rod in it, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's
a great idea.
But it's amazing how the sport fishing has grown and has continued to grow even through all the COVID stuff and everything else. And the numbers are definitely on the increase. And a lot of that is the women are getting involved in fishing and they're interested in going out, but they may not want to go out with a male guide or a man to teach them, that they look for other women to teach them and things. And there's a lot of people like that out there. It's a great thing.
Absolutely. Carl, something else that I forgot to mention earlier that might be of real interest to a lot of your listeners. I bet a lot of them started fishing on Lyman boats when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, it sort of dawned on me, it's the 150th anniversary of the Lyman Boat Works. So we normally have a little museum to Lyman each year at the show. We have quadrupled the size of that and connected with Tom Crockney, who's the one who bought all the Lyman stuff when they closed down.
Mm-hmm.
We have a huge museum dedicated to the 150th anniversary of Lyman Boat Works that really is being produced by a company who's building brand new Lymans now, but who also basically their real job is they build museum displays. They took over the museum this year.
Wow.
And it is going to be an incredible homage to the Lymans, which I know so many people on the Great Lakes have such a connection. And for me, I'm passionate about Lymans in many aspects, but as president of OMTA, you look at it and say Lyman made boats. They made working-class boats for working-class people. Mm-hmm. And Lyman got tens of thousands of families on the water boating. And I think they are the roots of the thriving recreational boating industry that we have today. So something else for your listeners to come and see what in between the fishing seminars that Jason put together.
Yeah, it's very interesting local history. It really is, because a lot of memories were made in those Lyman boats. I'll tell you. I know. Yeah. What you were what in your 20s 150 years ago. So
well, what was interesting, I was just thinking,
Joe cut the trees for the original Lymans.
But when Norm Schultz, they were one of my first sponsors on my television show back in the early 80s when I started doing TV. Mm-hmm. And the association was one of the first sponsors of my show back then when Norm Schultz was running things. And I had my boats at the early boat shows and did seminars and did the whole thing. So it does bring back a bunch of memories as well from back then.
Yeah, this association, I'm in awe of the fact of how long it has been around. And Norm, especially around boat show time, I talk to Norm sometimes daily.
Oh, is he still is he now still in Florida? Where's he at?
He is in Florida. He tries to come to the show every year.
Oh, good.
He came last year. He is unable to come this year for some health reasons.
Yeah.
But hopefully he'll rebound and come to the Catawba show. But he's a legend. He has all my respect. When I took over 6 years ago, both Norm Schultz and Ken Alvey. So
Yep.
Norm led LEMSA for 34 years, and then Ken led LEMSA for about 12 years.
Yep.
And then they had another guy there for like 2 years, and then they brought me in, and I've been there for 6. So
well, if
it's quite a history to the organization. But I involve Norm and Ken as much as I can, and as much as they want to be involved.
Well, when you talk to
so
Norm,
they're
make sure you tell him that I said hi, because it's been a long time since I've seen him. So, great guy.
I am happy to get you his number.
Do that, please. Yes.
Have Carl get in touch with me. We're friends on Facebook. I'll get you Norm's cell phone.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to talk to him. Yeah, because we did some television shows with Mayor Voinovich and did a lot of stuff. And, yeah, he was a really great guy. So that would be great. Okay, well, we got to wrap it up. Hopefully people, again, the dates and the hours of the show.
January 16th to the 19th, Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
Thursday, we open at noon, and we're open till 9 p.m. All the other days, we open at 10 a.m. Friday and Saturday, we close at 9, and Sunday, we close at 5. ClevelandBoatShow.com is going to have tons of information, including all the fishing seminar schedules. We've got a page, Meet the Pros, that talks about all the fishing pros that are going to be there. And again, if they use the code online, LEWT, they can get $3 off their tickets. We do have senior and military are $15 at the door. You can't get senior and military online. So if folks just want to come and pay at the door, they can. And if they're senior or military, they can get those tickets at the door
Great.
for $15.
Okay, well, we appreciate
Excellent.
both of you taking time and to tell our listeners what's going on. So I'm sure the listeners appreciate it as well.
Thank you for having us. It's good to talk to you. And Carl, great to talk to you. And I hope to see you both at the show.
All righty.
What about me?
You,
You too.
Dr. Norm,
You too. No, I said both of you. Both of you.
Okay.
Carl and I have worked together before, where he's got his camera on me and I'm chit-chatting. So
You got it. Have a
I would love to both of you.
Good. Both of you
Thanks,
have
Michelle.
a wonderful day.
Thanks, Jason.
See you, Jace.
See you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Take
See ya.
care.
Bye.
All right. Okay. All righty. And then we got to take a short break. We'll be back. Mike's on the line and Hamden's on the line. But we
Have a short fishing report.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you on the other side.
Just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time.
Are you ready to catch the big one? Introducing Kodiak Fish Attractant Catfish Bombs, your ultimate secret weapon for a successful fishing trip. Designed with fishermen in mind, Kodiak Catfish Bombs release an irresistible scent that draws catfish in from miles away. Just toss it in, wait a bit, and watch the action unfold. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these bombs are hot stuff. Perfect for the weekend angler or those late-night catfish excursions. Watch your catch rate explode with Kodiak Fish Attractant Catfish Bombs. Available online at Castaway.com. That's Castaway with a K.com. Thanks for listening to the Inside the Great Outdoors podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or stories you'd like to share, shoot us an email at jcoulis@castaway.com. That's Castaway with a K. We'll share your comments with our audience on the following week's show. Thanks again for listening to Inside the Great Outdoors.
Welcome back. Listening to Inside the Great Outdoors. Time for the report on the fishing.
Well, the fishing report brought to you by Mogador Bait Tackle and Marine Repair. And right now, they are stocked to the gills. There's a little pun there. With ice fishing gear.
Ooh.
They've got it all. They've got rods, reels, line, lures, all the little small ice fishing jigs, and
Safety
pin
things.
mins. They've got safety gear for your boots, your extra traction, your gloves, and hand warmers, and they've got it all. They're really well stocked. And if you're out on the ice and suddenly your lantern goes kaput, you can take your lantern to them and they'll repair it. They do Coleman lantern repair, which is a great thing to have. So, and if you need, the propane bottles or mantles for your lantern, they have all of that stuff too. So it's a great little shop, very, very well stocked. And it's great to have places like that around where you can go and get some bait and tack. Those places are disappearing. They're disappearing. So support your local bait shop, folks, no matter where it is. Went out this week looking at the ice because the ice is forming. Most of the lakes are pretty much locked in. Inland lakes, I'm talking about. The guys have been out fishing on, like I said earlier, 2 and 3 inches of ice, which is way too thin for my taste or any sane person's taste. And the issue is, can you fish on 2 to 3 inches of ice? Sure, until it breaks. Then you're in trouble. If you like pulling yourself out of frozen, ice cold water and having a bad day and taking your life into your hands for a little bluegill, perch, or crappie, that's your business. But I definitely would suggest to everyone to follow the recommendations of the Division of Wildlife and at a minimum, 4 inches of good clear ice. And I've seen guys, their thoughts of what 3 inches of ice looks like. It's not 3 inches of ice. It's something about their going from, measuring it with their hand in the reaching down and measuring the thickness. Yeah. By the time it gets up here, it grows a little bit. But down in the water, it's not like that. And the other bad thing is with the snow on top, as the lakes continue to freeze and they crack and they have pressure cracks and some water comes up, that snow soaks up the water and it will freeze and form a layer of ice, but that ice isn't good. The best ice you can have is crystal clear like glass and thick and 4 inches. That's the 4 inches they're recommending. And not an inch and a half of good clear ice with 3 inches of yucky ice and snow on top of it. That's not good.
But it's not uniform too, is it?
No. On the early ice like this, it's very spotty. It could be 3 inches here and 10 feet away or 2 feet away. It could be 2 inches. It's just the way it forms.
That's the way it freezes.
There are currents. The wind, even when there's ice, the wind, if there's any open water, that wind is pushing water under the ice, and it's preventing it from forming. If there's any place where a stream or a creek or even something as small as a ditch comes in and there's any current, those places are going to be thinner. Places where there's trees hanging in the water or docks, around docks, those things hold more heat, so it's going to be thinner there. You got to be very careful, especially early ice like this. Give it a couple of days, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, because Wednesday is going to get really cold.
And I looked at towards the end of the month. There's a week towards the end of the month. It's going to be single digits.
Yep.
For highs.
And this is ending up to be a decent season. It looks like. I won't knock on wood, but just be a little patient. Get out. There have been a lot of guys out on East Harbor. They say there's 4 inches of ice up there in spots because East Harbor's spotty just like everywhere else. Yeah. You got to be careful and watch it. The Presque Isle Bay up in Erie, Pennsylvania was loaded with shanties. I don't even know how much ice they have up there, but I'll give it another week or so before planning any trips. But I may go check again on tomorrow with my son. I always take somebody with me.
Good idea.
And if it's too dicey, we won't go. Yesterday I went looking. I had all my gear with me, and I went looking, and I checked at Mogador, the Tickner Road boat ramp. There was one person fishing. He was about 8 feet in front of the dock, and he said it was 3 inches. But he said, but over this way it got down to 2.5, and over this way it was 2.5 and looked really bad, so he came back. He didn't go out anywhere far, which is a smart move. But Not for me. I'm not going out on 3 inches of
No,
ice.
I wouldn't either.
First of all, I'm a large individual, which means calorically challenged, I think the term is. That means I'm fat, but not as fat as I used to be. Husky, big boned. And so what I did, instead of going out on the ice at Mogadore by the boathouse on Route 43, they have a dock. It's a handicapped access dock, and it's made for fishing.
And you, because
So
you're handicapped mentally.
I am handicapped.
Mentally.
Mentally and
Yes.
physically. I dragged my gear out to the end of the dock,
Yeah.
and I drilled a hole with my K-drill ice auger.
That's smart.
And no, it's not smart, because first hole I've drilled this year, right?
Yeah.
I'm put it on the ice, get the drill going. It's not doing nothing. I'm like, man, this blade is dull, and I'm pushing and pushing and pushing.
Backwards?
Finally goes through the ice. And I'm like, something ain't right. And
Yeah.
I looked at the drill, and I had it in reverse
That's
the
what I
whole
was
time.
going to say, yeah.
So, but I still got through. It took
Yes.
me a while,
Well,
but I drilled a hole with the drill
no,
in
I mean,
reverse.
smart.
That's good for the drill.
Smart.
Yeah. Tell me about it. It's
Smart being safe, but being on a dock.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
driving at.
And I talked to Rick from Cascray, and he was up at Mosquito, and he was going to go out by the buoy line on the north end by the Goose Preserve.
Yeah.
And he walked out, and he said they were walking out, and they noticed the ice doing bowing and stuff. And they drilled a hole, and it was maybe three. And he said they drilled a hole, and there's all sorts of water coming up, and they just backed off and said, no, it's not worth it. So they went and fished off the docks at the marina. So at Mosquito,
Yeah.
which you can do if you want to stay safe.
Yeah.
I only caught one fish. I marked a couple, came in, missed a couple of bites, but I'm still knocking the rust off. But I was just sitting at the end of the dock, sitting on the dock of the bay, just like the song said. Thank you, John. But yeah, it was, just be patient. Give it a couple days to firm up a little more. Get that 4 inches of ice.
It looks like the forecast will be good. So we should have a winter of ice fishing this year. So,
And I think next weekend they're talking about a day and a half or 2 day warm up a little bit, being the low to mid 30s.
Yeah,
which may soften up the snow on top and get rid of some of that, but it'll refreeze again.
Right.
And that's another layer.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
but be safe. Take all your safety gear with you. And again, our condolences to the family in Marshallville that
Where's that in?
lost their
is
young.
that Wayne County
Yeah.
or is that Summit?
Wayne.
Wayne.
County.
We used to go to the Marshallville Packing Company and get our meat when I was
Oh.
a kid. My mom and dad, we'd always take a trip to Marshallville.
Oh, okay.
But,
All right. Well, we
yeah.
got to take a break. We got storytelling time, and then we'll get to Mike and Hamden. So we'll take a short break, and we will be back.
Any place that goes is right, goes far, flies near, many stars away from here. Well, you don't know what we can find. Why don't you come with me, little girl, on a magic carpet ride? You don't know what we can see. Why don't you tell your dreams to me? Fantasy will see.
Welcome back. Time for storytelling time, and the other two participants here had to go to the men's room. So I'm on my own here. I can't get any reactions from them. But I remember we were talking about the boat show, and then, of course, I did the boat show and the sport show. Did a sport show for, 40-some, almost 50, 46 years, I think, every year. But one year, it was when it was in downtown Cleveland at the convention center. Boy, that was a neat place. Wooden floor. It closed. They actually had a orchestra, played music. They had entertainment. That floor closed down twice a day on the weekends, and that was some nice memories of the show back then. It was something about that wooden floor that made it a nice feeling to it. It was kind of strange, that's gone as far as then they moved out to the IX, and there was actually 4 or 5 floors. But there was a gentleman that was visiting another booth, and he was from Africa. Richard White was his name. And he stopped by my booth for whatever reason, and we visited, and he was there to see about getting people to go to Africa, and he invited me to come. So the Sportsman show was in usually around the 15th of March, so till like the end of March. And he said, why don't you come to Africa? Well, that was one of my dreams, going to Africa. Within 2 weeks, I was on a plane going to Africa, which was really cool. Had no passport, and so I booked the flight to New York City early in the morning, flew to New York, went downtown, went to the passport office, all these other people all signing in, filled out the information. They says, okay, come back later. We'll go. You should have your passport. Okay. So I remember I went to St. John's Cathedral and walked around town all day, saw New York City, and then went there like at 4 o'clock, and all the people are there that are hoping to get on a plane to go somewhere. And it was kind of cool because they would call names, and you became friendly with these people. And they're from all over the world, or going all over the world. And so they, when somebody would get called, everybody would clap for them, Well, now it's getting later. They closed at 5. My flight was, I think I had a flight at 8. But it was, you got to have a passport to leave. So it's getting later and later. It's 5 o'clock, and there's still a good handful of people that are trying to get their passport. And then they finally call my name. I thought, oh my gosh. So I got the passport, got on a cab, went to the airport. Well, it was like, flight wasn't until 8 or 8:30. So I went up, it was Pan Am. Yeah. And I went up to the desk, I said, could I get I had a flight to England. So they says, oh, we have an opening. You could get on the 8 o'clock flight or the 7 o'clock flight on Pan Am, and that's just when the 747s started. And so I thought, oh man, I get to ride a 747. So I met this girl, and she says, my father's a pilot. He says, the safest place, if there's a crash, they always find the tail. So she says, we need to go sit in the back of the plane, like row 50. And so we sat there. So I had somebody to visit with at least. Flew to England, and you get there. You leave in the evening, and you get there early in the morning. Get to England. England. What's the capital of
London?
London. Gee whiz. So I get to London, and I had the whole day there for another late flight. So I got to be. And actually, they put you up in a hotel. That was pretty cool. I'll never forget. You go there to eat lunch, and they had bowls of take how much you want of strawberries and whipped cream for a side. And
I bet you were in heaven.
Oh my goodness! So I waited. I'm traveling alone, and so then the next stop was. Flew to South Africa, Johannesburg, and then a flight from there back up into Rhodesia, and met the guy and everything. And so we go into the bush, and it was just so cool. But in the back of my mind, my biggest thing was I shot some small game and stuff, but Cape Buffalo, I had a double rifle that I took, that I traded for a bear rug or something. For this double barrel Purdy 450 double nitro. It's like 4.5-inch case, straight wall, no necking down. It's all, when you shoot that, you know it.
I bet.
And so I got this gun. The guy wanted it back. I says, no, I wasn't about to trade it back. So we're hunting, and never found any Cape buffalo. And last day of the hunt, I got a flight that night. The guy said, well, we'll get up early. And what you do is you drive the roads, and they're all dirt, dust, sand, and you look. The big buffalo go to the water at night, and they feel safe, and they water and feed, and then they go back into the brush to hide and lay down for the day. So you drive these roads looking for tracks, and you look for tracks of 1 to 5 or 6, because that's a herd of bulls. Plus, you can tell by the tracks they're big, but you want a small bunch. So we're driving, nothing, and we here we go, five bulls. So we go and we track, and we're tracking them, almost like tracking in the snow. But you also have trackers with you that know, they know their stuff. So we're going, and everything is gray. There's no color. It's all gray. It's in the middle, their winter, our spring, so it's into their fall, I'd say. So we're going and walking, and then out of nowhere, in front of you are these 5 bull Cape buffalo. So I just picked one that was close. And then I shoot, and they all go off running. And I know I hit them. So, but in the back of my mind, I thought, wouldn't that be the coolest thing to be charged by a Cape buffalo? I just thought that would be the neatest thing in the world. So we're going, and we split up, and
my first wife was a similar situation.
I
wasn't looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we go. And,
I didn't have one of those big rifles.
So him and I are following these tracks and some blood and stuff, and there it is. It's standing there like 40 yards away, looking broadside. And this tracker was like 4 foot tall, little short guy. And so I got this double rifle, and I'm kneeling down, seeing about getting a shot, and he's behind me. And as soon as the buffalo sees it, here it comes. Now, whoa, man. Well, then it's like, hey, this is pretty...
watching. No, this is neat.
Yeah. And here he comes, and he's lumbering at me, and I waited till he got probably 10 yards or so and shooting. Man, like he collapses. But in the meantime, this little African, as the buffalo's coming, he kept yelling, shoot, shoot. That's the only word he knew was shoot. And he's yelling at me, and I'm waiting to get a clear shot, till he gets close enough. And you can hit them in the head, and the bullet can ricochet.
Yeah.
Their bone around their horn on top it's tough. And so, but I shot low enough, and he was close enough, and it just collapsed. Now we got this buffalo, and it's like I got to get to town, which was a couple-hour ride. And so the guy says, so they gut it, and they load the whole buffalo in this little pickup truck. So we're driving now. I got to get to the airport. So this heavy thing, it's like probably 2,000 pounds. And we're going down these roads, and I thought he was going to roll this little Toyota truck over. And I got all these smelly clothes on in there. We're going right to the airport. And I get to the airport, the plane, it just closed the gates. Oh, shoot. But it worked out okay. I went into town. I went to the tannery. I actually met a really nice girl that I saw the next year. I went back. But got to buy a lot.
That could be in the book.
They could be. But it worked out good. I bet you
can't remember her name either.
No. Not the slightest.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Well, we'll take a break because we got Good News Keo, and I don't know about Mike and Hemden. Hang in there. We'll see what we can do. But we got to get to Keo with good news on the other side. We'll be back.
If you troll for walleye, steelhead, or even salmon, you need to check out Castaway's Magnetic Divers. The release is magnetic, so if it trips accidentally, no need to retrieve it. Simply give the line slack, it sinks and resets itself automatically. When fishing is slow, trip the diver when trolling. It will come up through the water column and very often trigger a strike because you are now covering different depths. It can be set to go off to the right, left, or straight behind the boat. It comes in 3 sizes and different colors. Why not try one today? You can order them online at castaway.com. That's castaway.com with a K. You will not only improve your fishing success, but will make trolling fun again because of no more retrieving after a false release. That's Castaway's Magnetic Diver at www.castaway.com with a K.
Thanks for listening to the Inside the Great Outdoors podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or stories you'd like to share, shoot us an email at jcoulis@castaway.com. That's Castaway with a K. We'll share your comments with our audience on the following week's show. Thanks again for listening to Inside the Great Outdoors.
Welcome back. Time for good news. Keo, what do we got there, buddy?
I don't know.
Join the crowd.
How's that sound? Wrong church, wrong pew.
I got the wrong guy. Hang on. Jeez, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, Joe. Oh, jeez.
That's okay.
Oh, boy.
I was just talking away, and then I heard Hamden Bob over the top of me. And I go,
Yeah, it's like, well,
There we
Joe
go.
must have
Anyway.
a cold or something.
Oh, boy.
He sounds just like Hamden Bob.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's funny. I was listening to the Northfield Fireplace commercial, and I really got to recommend those guys. I've used them before to come out and clean the flue, and they come in with their drop claws, and
Oh, yeah.
you'd never
And
know
a
they were there.
special,
Well, that's-
really expensive special vacuum that doesn't throw dust into the room. Very important.
It's a dirty job, but they are amazing. Very clean when they come into your home. Which kind of also reminded me of a quick story, if I have time.
Yep.
When I was in high school, a buddy of mine and myself, we were licensed to be nuisance trappers. And a lot of our clients were in the suburbs on the east side of Cleveland. And we were in, I think, Lyndhurst at a home that had a raccoon nesting in the chimney. And, they could hear the raccoons coming through the noise coming through the fireplace and that. And so typically what we do is we'd set a heart trap outside the chimney outside, would catch the mother, and then go in and reach up into the flue and grab the babies out and then leave. Well, we there was this one home that was absolutely immaculate. In fact, they had a white carpet in the living room. A deep pile of white carpet.
Oh.
So we caught the mom. It was very obvious she was nursing, kits. And so we then went into the living room. We took our shoes off. We put a drop cloth down, and we reached up into the flue to grab the little ones. And we had not gotten the mother. It was a different mother that we had caught.
Oh.
It was a
the
different
mother was
baby
in
mama.
there. A different baby mama, and she came boiling out of there with all that black soot and screaming, and it was like a total chaos for about 10 minutes.
Oh,
So
my.
we did a noose on her,
Yeah.
and there was soot everywhere. Oh my gosh! Anyway, that's just one of those things that triggered a memory.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, deer muzzleloading season concluded, and it was a banner year. 13,476, up from 12,714 last year, and above the 3-year average of 13,081. 73% of the deer were antlerless. And again, and this is like the third year in a row, hunters from all 50 states purchased licenses for Ohio deer season.
Really?
Excellent.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, very.
Quick
Very.
rundown of
Very.
the top the top 5, Pennsylvania came in number 1 with 7,876 licenses. Michigan number 2 at 5,156. West Virginia number 3, 3,016, and North Carolina 3,277.
Wow.
And New York 3,153.
Hmm.
You know, it's kind of funny. I'm thinking, if I'm in Hawaii or Alaska,
Yeah.
I can't imagine sitting around thinking, you know what? I want to head to Ohio.
Let's go to Ohio.
Maybe they're from here originally or something.
That's what
but- yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. They're
Sure.
probably coming home to
Yep.
visit family, and they
Exactly.
want to get out and relive some of that.
Yeah.
You know, some of what they grew up with. So yeah, that's kind of cool, isn't it?
Very,
when you think
very.
about it.
Yep.
What's the matter? I wonder if there's any Canadians. I don't know. They didn't say in the release.
They did or did not?
Anyway,
Did not.
Did not.
they did not mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Hey, another news item from the past week. I don't know if you mentioned it. I didn't catch the whole program this morning, so you might have. But there was a lazuli bunting spotted in Meigs County.
No,
this
we
week.
didn't hit that.
First
I
time
had
in
never
Ohio.
heard-
Really?
Yeah, I'd never even heard of one before. It's a western bird. I mean, it doesn't get east of Montana, Wyoming, Nevada area. And in the wintertime, they're usually down by the Yucatan. But they spotted one in Meigs County. It was confirmed. There's a photo on Facebook of one, and they look kind of like a bluebird, except they don't have a bluebird bill. They have more of a bunting bill.
Yeah.
A bit thicker. But yeah, very cool.
They blew over with the storm.
Nobody
you know?
knows. Yeah, that's usually how they get here.
I have a bit of good news, if you would like.
Go ahead.
I hope I'm not stealing
Yeah,
your
please.
good news thunder, because we don't collaborate on this show
No.
for anything. Ohio Division of Wildlife announced a new state record white crappie this past week. It was caught in November 2nd, 2024, by, let's see, what's her name? Teresa Croy of Ottawa County. She landed her catch from a pond at the Glandorf Rod and Gun Club in Putnam County. Fish measured 18.5 inches long.
Wow.
Was landed on 8-pound test mono using a worm.
Really?
And it barely beat the former state record white crappie. Miss Croy's crappie weighed 3.91 pounds on a certified and inspected scale. It knocked out the previous record of Kyle Rock, who caught an 18.5-inch crappie weighing 3.90 pounds from a private pond in the Zanesville area. And this has been certified by the Outdoor Writers of Ohio State Record Fish Committee.
Yeah.
Along with fisheries biologists. So by 1/100th of a pound, which is not much.
Not much.
So we call that a squeaker.
Carl and me use certified scales, don't we, Carl,
That's right.
when we measure
I hate to tell you, well, my certified scale doesn't read that high, so I need to go to one of those truck weigh stations to get my certified weight.
Jeez. Yeah. Anyway, hey, how about a little culture?
Good.
Boy, we need it.
Yeah, I fall back on Abraham Lincoln fairly often because he was a pretty smart guy, I think, and he had a sense of humor too. I'll paraphrase. He was the one that came up with the better to have people think you're dumb than to open up your mouth and remove all doubt.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
He also got frustrated with General McClellan during the war and said, Dearest McClellan, if you're not going to use the Army, let me borrow it for a while.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All
But
righty.
he also said, this is the one that I wanted to focus on. The best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time.
There you go.
So
Very good.
don't get all wound up. Take
Yeah.
it a day at a time.
Good.
Mhm.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week.
Stay warm, guys.
You too.
We'll see you,
You
Joe.
know.
See you, Joe.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Already. Yeah.
All righty. And let's get Hamden in there now than the end of the show.
Oh, well, let's do this in a condensed fashion so we make room for others. Good morning, gentlemen, and sure, I won't get this 45 minutes on hold back, but it was well worth it. What good content, starting with the boat show critters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
thanks to
let's
Michelle
go-
and Jason for calling in. We
Oh,
appreciate
man.
it. Lots of great information, and get
That
out
was
there.
fabulous.
Call in the 7 or 8 o'clock hour, those whole 2 hours, and it's not bad.
You call in at 4,
Let's-
and we'll get to you right at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Let's get uncharacteristically focused real quick. Number one, Yash, I think I've told you this publicly before. I remember being introduced to you by my father. You were in Public Hall. That was
Oh,
the
really?
section of the
Yeah.
Sportsman Show.
Oh, wasn't that a
And
neat
that's
place?
also, oh my God! And that's where I had the rich luxury of meeting Joe Foss,
yeah.
former Cactus Air Force. He
Yeah.
may have been a Medal of Honor guy
Yeah.
on the canal, World War II. Now you had a elephant's paw, I guess, whatever you would call it. You didn't waste any of the animal,
Right.
and it was a bin, a container, and it was the full paw mount. I'll never forget that. I was a little boy, and I'm 64. Okay,
Wow.
so that's what I remember of you.
Wow.
Now,
Man, Joe, you're
the
old.
boat show,
I guess.
the boat show seminars.
Yeah.
Yash, you and I are going to fish like a girl. That's enough of this. Let's give it a spin. Why not? Maybe we'll learn something.
There you go.
And I'll be conducting special bonus seminar out by the IX dumpsters. Hamden Bob's attempt to make sense. And it's
Okay.
free.
All right.
All right.
I
Talk
like
to you
the
later.
two girls in
See
a
ya.
boat.
All right.
That's where I'm going to go to the
Okay.
boat show.
Well, we
Remember,
got-
a girl caught the state record white crappie, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
But to get out there and make some memories, like you say, it's going to be cold and stuff, but you can make some memories, and it could be the most lasting, most important ones you ever do make. So, and the older you get, the more important those memories are. Just look about that one. That was something about, I forgot about Joe Foss that I met at the old, Cleveland Convention Center with Hamden there. That was pretty cool. So make a phone call to somebody. It's going to make you smile. They smile. Everybody smiles. And we know a day without a smile is a day wasted. We do a lot of smiling in this place. That's for sure, between these two clowns I got to deal with. And as my mother always tells me, besides those two clowns, don't you ever take anyone a nickel.
You've been listening to Inside the Great Outdoors with Joe Coolis, Joe Keogh, and Dr. Norm. Join us every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AM 1420 The Answer. Download the podcast of today's show and previous broadcasts at IGOradio.com. Follow the show on Facebook and get interactive with the cast and crew. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week, 7 a.m., right here on AM 1420 The Answer.